Welcome back, Ice Babies. Today, I'm returning to the format of 3 wildly weird and possibly unknown things, and this video will be around the Lori Vallow-Daybell case, aka the Doomsday Mother. You might believe you've heard it all when it comes to the cult of the Daybells, but it is my goal to get your thinker ticking in a new way by presenting specifics of the case from a different angle. Also, I want to invite you to join this community, become an Ice Baby. Subscribe to this channel for more content that'll get your wheel cogs oiled and turning. I work hard to not repurpose content or just rehash what others have reviewed. With popular public cases like this one, it's quite an undertaking. Let me know you enjoy what you see and hear today with that simple click of the subscribe button, and meet me in the comments. I'll be waiting. Before we analyze the 3 wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case, allow me to review a brief high-level summary of the dreadful events which surrounded the Doomsday Mother and the families she victimized. This case, with Lori Vallow-Daybell at the center, has captivated public attention with its intricate web of mysteries, tragedies, and unanswered questions. The case revolves around the disappearance of Lori Vallow-Daybell's 2 children, Joshua J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, in 2019. What began as a missing persons investigation quickly unraveled into a complex saga involving cult beliefs, suspicious deaths, and allegations of foul play. Lori Vallow-Daybell, previously known as Lori Vallow, gained notoriety for her involvement in a religious group known as Preparing a People, which espoused apocalyptic beliefs and doomsday prophecies. She married Chad Daybell, an author who she shared similar beliefs, just weeks after the death of his wife, Tammy Daybell, under mysterious circumstances. Tammy's death, initially deemed natural, was later investigated as suspicious after the connection between Chad and Lori surfaced. The case took a chilling turn when Lori's children, JJ and Tylee, were reported missing in September 2019. Despite pleas from family members and law enforcement, Lori remained evasive about the children's whereabouts, claiming they were safe and with family members. However, as investigators delved deeper into the case, inconsistencies in Lori and Chad's statements emerged, raising suspicions about their involvement in the children's disappearance. In June 2020, authorities discovered the remains of JJ and Tylee buried on Chad Daybell's property in Idaho. The grim discovery shocked the nation and intensified scrutiny on Lori and Chad, who were subsequently arrested and charged in the connection with the deaths of the children. The case shed light on the dark underbelly of religious extremism and its potential consequences, as well as the complexities of unraveling the truth in cases of missing persons and suspected foul play. As the investigation has unfolded, the case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and justice in protecting vulnerable individuals and upholding the rule of law. With that, let's get into our list of 3 wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. Number 1, Lori Vallow-Daybell's fake emails. Yes, the lies between these 2 asshats, Lori and Chad Daybell, run deep, I'm telling you. A lot of times in cases like this, there's so much interest and information being funneled to the public around the offenders that the offended parties, the victims, and what they went through gets watered down and filtered out. Before Lori dug her nails into the suggestible Chad Daybell, she was said to be a devoted wife to the late Charles Vallow. With Charles, Lori adopted and raised an autistic child, succinctly referred to as JJ. A striking couple with comfortable finances and shared business ventures, Lori and Charles Vallow seemed to have it all. Until it all came apart at the seams. Just imagine it from Charles Vallow's perspective. You're plagued with anxiety and wrecked with paranoia as you've been observing some alarming transformations in your spouse of 13 years. The wife who used to quiet your fears with just a gentle touch of her hand now seems always at a distance, transmitting nothing but contempt when her eyes meet yours. She's been on a recent accusatory tirade, questioning your fidelity, interrogating you on your faithfulness. You can't figure it out. Where did this swift shift in her trust come from? What is going on in her head? She's even acting out towards the children. You try to restore the family dynamics, you try to be understanding, you remind her of your unwavering love. But it's all rejected to pursue the principles of light versus dark, zombies, and evil spirit exorcisms. You begrudgingly agree to a separation, and finally, you file for divorce. This is where Charles Vallow was in June of 2019, a broken man beaten down over Lori Vallow's unfounded allegations and extremist beliefs in the name of religion. One day, while working off of his home computer, he stumbles upon an email account belonging to an alias he does not recognize, kkwalker75@yahoo.com. He's further perplexed to find an email message was recently sent from this unfamiliar account. But Charles does recognize the receiver's name of said email message, Chad Daybell. Before Charles can even try to deduce reasoning from the situation, his gaze sets upon the name in the signature of the email message, his very own name, Charles Vallow. Things are slowly and shakily coming into focus now. What is she up to, he thinks. No doubt, Charles's head was spinning as he read the correspondence falsely crafted and delivered on his behalf by his estranged wife to her new lover. On June 28, 2019, kkwalker75@yahoo.com, I quote, "Hello, Chad. I hope you are doing well. This is Charles Vallow from Arizona. We really enjoyed having you stay with us back in November when you came to the Preparing a People conference. I appreciated you taking time to talk to me about the book I've been working on. Well, more than 6 months later, I still haven't made much progress on it, but I feel an urgency to get it done. As the managing partner of Right Planning Group, I'm going to have the opportunity to speak at various conventions beginning in the fall. But everyone says I need to have a book available that summarizes my life and shares the principles I follow. So, I'll cut to the chase. I'm willing to pay you well to help me get this book into shape as my ghostwriter. I really liked your autobiography and the tone you took in sharing experiences without preaching. Is there any way you could come here for a couple days and help me get the book underway? I feel talking in person would be much more valuable than a phone call or video chat, mainly because I would like you to read through some of my journals and explain to me how the publishing industry works. It would help me know whether I truly have a book in me and whether you want to team up on it. I played minor league baseball and have plenty of stories that my audience could relate to, along with the knowledge I've gained running my own company. So I do feel the book would contain valuable information even beyond the convention circuit. I'm out of town until Saturday, but I would gladly fly you down here early next week before the holiday and cover your expenses. You could stay in our guest room like before, or in a hotel if you prefer. I hate to take you away from your family, but I know this book is vital to my speaking success. I understand if you don't want to be part in the project, but I would definitely make it worth your time. With admiration, Charles." We can only imagine the surges of pain, frustration, and anger that ran through Charles Vallow upon uncovering this level of deceit. But we know that Charles couldn't keep it to himself. In several emails and/or texts, he pretty much immediately confronts both Lori and Chad about their extramarital affair and their exercises in covering it up. And I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but my gosh, it's so brazen. Lori drafts and sends this fake email to Chad so that his wife will believe that her husband has a legitimate reason to visit Arizona, a trip which was solely being contrived so that Chad Daybell could service his mistress. Charles had no plans to author a book, and Chad had not previously stayed with the Vallows. We also have the content from a message Charles sent to Adam Cox, his brother-in-law, and Lori's brother. Not the brother whom she cult controlled, okay? This is a different brother. To Adam Cox, Charles clearly felt close enough to confide in, and I quote Charles Vallow on June 29th, 2019. Adam, open this letter and see what she did. I'm not sure if the relationship with her and Chad Daybell, but they are up to something. She created an email alias for me, as I've never set this one up. She sent this yesterday, and I guess she forgot all her emails are on the computer at my house. I asked her to explain it, and she started blaming you, Brandon, and me for perpetrating a scheme against her. Just more of her paranoia. She will not explain it. I am going to send it to Chad Daybell's wife. Her name is Tammy, and I found her email address on their website. I've got her cell number too. Sounds very suspicious to me. What do you think? Whenever she gets caught doing this kind of stuff, she starts blaming everybody else, mostly me, you, and Brandon. Brandon and I are the victims of her craziness. I wish you luck trying to help her. I was the only one brave enough to try to get her help in January, and look what happened to me. The whole family put a scarlet letter on me. Maybe now they can see what they're up against. Thanks. What a tangled web we weave, Daybell. As accurately cited, this message from Charles to Adam was sent on June 29, 2019. 11 days later, Charles Vallow will be shot and killed by Lori Vallow-Daybell's brother, Alex Cox, in a self-defense claim which, personally, I don't buy with a discount. During the few days Charles Vallow lived after finding the fake email, he relentlessly requested explanations as well as apologies from Lori. It seems most of Charles's last days were spent reeling from the fake message as he spiraled further into and got tangled up in Lori's web of lies. He researches Chad Daybell and discovers his then current marriage to the now late Tammy Daybell. Rest in peace. Charles attempts to valiantly get the information he's uncovered to Tammy through multiple avenues. We have no evidence to believe Tammy received the correspondence from Charles. Personally, I've always wondered if Charles blowing the whistle straight to Lori and Chad allowed them to intercept his messages to Tammy. It's so disheartening to realize how Charles spent his last days on Earth. Lord, allow me to not go out hurting so deeply from such deception. As for Lori Daybell, the woman has no remorse over any of it, much less the murder of her ex-husband. With a recent life sentence, she's set to rot in prison, but still, it's nuts. It's discouraging. Who wants to accept that there are people walking among us with such hardened hearts and tainted minds? Ice babies, that's why Lori Vallow-Daybell's fake emails are number one on this list of wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. Number 2 on the list of wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case, the Daybell's demon exorcisms. Deep into Lori Vallow-Daybell's spiritual awakening, she decides she possesses the power to cast demons out of dark humans. What this means came to light during Lori's trial in 2023, where witnesses described how Lori would suggest she and her religious group work on a particular demon-possessed person, and they would discuss how this work would be executed. To me, it sounds more like a brainstorming session on ways to unalive someone, frankly. A one-time friend to Lori Vallow-Daybell, Audrey Baratario, takes her seat in the witness box at LVD's trial. She is questioned about a scripture-based event or conference she attended along with LVD in the summer of 2019, as well as a visit she received from LVD in Missouri later that same year. And I want to make sure you make this connection. Both Charles Vallow and Tammy Daybell, the spouses of Lori and Chad, were killed about 3 months apart in 2019. Again, the absolute audacity of these two, Lori and Chad. It's like they weren't even trying to be discreet about their crimes.
And when did you next see Lori in person?
In the summertime.
Okay.
Of 2019.
Summertime in 2019. What kind of event were you attending at that time?
There was a event that was scriptural based and somewhere in Utah, Utah Valley. At the end of being there, she brought up wanting to work on her husband at the time.
Okay. And do you know who her husband at the time was?
Charles.
At some point, did you go back to her hotel room?
Yes, that's where she brought it up.
Okay. So when you say that she wanted to work on her husband, Charles, what does that mean?
She all of a sudden, out of the blue, brought up all of this stuff about zombies and people being possessed is kind of the idea of that. And I hadn't heard of that before and had no basis for that. And then it made me feel uncomfortable. But she was basically alluding to people, the term, I guess, that eventually she called it was zombies, and that it was people being possessed or having a spirit like connected to them or something.
Okay.
She wanted to like work on trying to get a negative spirit out of Charles. And, but actually, I should say, at first it was just like everyone started holding hands, and I didn't know what they were doing. And I thought maybe there was going to be like a group prayer or something. And so they all held hands, and I joined hands as well, thinking it was going to be a prayer. And then she started talking, basically to say that she was going to try to get a spirit out of Charles. And each woman would say something. And then...
So what do you recall Lori saying?
I don't remember exact words, but things like knives and fire and like weapons that you would try to use to, that kind of an idea.
Did you ever have the opportunity to meet Tammy Daybell?
Yes, I did once, and I liked her very much.
Did Lori come and visit you in Missouri?
She did. She and her niece, Melanie Boudreau, said they didn't have anything else to do and asked if they could come and see the church historical sites in Missouri. They had never seen them. And it was going great. And then basically she brought up the idea of working on Tammy.
Okay. And again, when you say working on, what did you guys do?
She said that Tammy had a spirit that was in her and needed to be taken out. And I told her I did not want to help and that I did not want to participate. And she sorry.
It's okay. If you need to get some water.
She highly pressured me, saying, "You're supposed to be my friend, you're supposed to help me. Like Chad asked you to be my friend." And I reiterated that I didn't want to. And she kept on, and this was later in the night. And I didn't know, I didn't do those things in my own life. And I said that I would say a prayer. And basically, I said a prayer to Heavenly Father saying, okay, I don't know what's going on. If there is something going on with Tammy, and it needs to be taken out. I asked for thee to help her, for thine angels to help her. And I asked that she would be able to feel the love of God. And ended the prayer.
It's clear this woman harbors an awful lot of guilt, possibly, for witnessing these strange cultish ceremonies where spirit-smashing sessions were conducted. If you ask me, you can almost hear Audrey connecting the dots and shaking her head in despair at what she reluctantly participated in. A bunch of freaking hocus pocus wielded by the most dangerous of demons, Lori and Chad Daybell. Audrey remembers Lori and Chad expressing some displeasure when, after working on a subject, the body would still be alive. And Audrey explains this is when she realized that Lori and Chad had further, even more evil plans for exorcising the demons. My gosh, I can't. We now know that Tammy Daybell's body was exhumed despite the wishes of Chad Daybell to leave her alone, and it was finally determined forensically that she did not pass away in her sleep. Tammy was snuffed out by asphyxiation. And that's why the Daybell's demon exorcisms are number 2 on this list of wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. Number 3 on the list of wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case: follow the money. In the Lori Vallow-Daybell case, financial statements played a crucial role in unraveling the complex web of deceit and suspicion surrounding the disappearance and deaths of Lori's children, Joshua, J.J. Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. Scrutinizing the financial records of Lori and Chad Daybell aided investigators in tracing the Daybells' movements, expenditures, and financial relationships leading up to and following the disappearance of JJ and Tylee. Investigators analyzed bank statements, credit card transactions, and other financial documents to piece together a timeline of events and identify any unusual or suspicious activities. Several wild revelations centered around the financial activity associated with Tylee Ryan, of course, the now deceased daughter of LVD. To give a little bit of a backstory, Tylee Ryan had been collecting income from Social Security due to the death of her biological father, Joseph Ryan, in April of 2018. It's important to clarify that Tylee's father's death has been ruled of natural causes. I know it's hard to believe with all the innocent people slain at the hands of the Daybells, but it is to be accepted that Joseph Ryan's passing was not of foul play or connected to the Daybells. What can be connected to the Daybells is the blatant stealing of Tylee's death benefit stipends. I should probably say, in my opinion on that one, the alleged stealing of Tylee's death benefit stipends. But don't worry, you'll agree, hang in there. When investigators analyzed Tylee Ryan's JP Morgan Chase bank statements from 2019, they learned that on August 16, 2019, Lori Vallow-Daybell contacted the Social Security offices and switched the bank account receiving Tylee's $1,859 per month payment from her late father's death benefits. Yep. Lori Vallow-Daybell stopped the payments from going to Tylee's account and rerouted them to her own personal bank account. Things that make you go, Additionally, detectives found it wildly weird that Tylee's banking was steady in activity, almost predictable, right up until September of 2019. On September 20th of 2019, Tylee Ryan's bank account was drained to zero, with all existing funds transferred to the bank account of none other than Lori Vallow-Daybell. Tylee's date of death is believed to have been on September 9th, 2019, right smack in between the date that Lori transferred Tylee's Social Security payments to herself and the date Lori depleted Tylee's account and took control over all of her daughter's financial resources. But why would LVD stop there, right? There's another deceased ex-husband and father. Remember, Charles Vallow, the legal father to adopted son JJ Vallow, had only recently been killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Again, following the money led investigators to discover that not only was Lori now receiving Tylee's Social Security benefits from her biological father, but Lori had claimed control over the benefits allowed to both children from Charles Vallow's untimely passing. Because of Lori Vallow-Daybell's further suspicious banking activities, JJ Vallow's date of death is believed to have been on September 23, 2019. Ultimately, financial statements played a significant role in bringing justice to JJ and Tylee and holding those responsible for their deaths accountable for their actions. And that's why Follow the Money makes number 3 on this list of wildly weird and possibly unknown things about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. Not gonna lie, guys, this one was really rough for me. All the research, court reports, and trial footage, it was really sad, especially seeing those close to the victims and even hardened detectives getting visibly emotional when reviewing evidence. As always, let us remember the victims in this case: Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, Charles Vallow, and Tammy Daybell. I know some of you will have Alex Cox on your list of the Daybell victims, but I'm just not so sure how I feel about that yet. Guys, meet me in the comments though. Let's talk about it. I'll engage. Have you been keeping up with the case? What stood out for you throughout all this craziness? And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'd love to welcome you and provide what security I can that this is promoted as a safe place for all opinions. So long as you can be respectful while delivering them, discussions around these tragic topics can be healthy. I want to extend my personal sympathy and support to the loved ones of the victims we discussed today. May you find comfort in the memories you cherish and in the knowledge that you, law enforcement, and even the public did not give up on justice for your loved ones. I love you guys. Meet me in the comments, subscribe, like, share. I'll see you next time.